And joining us for more on these issues is NewsNation's chief Washington anchor and host of On Balance, Leland Vittert. It's good to see you. And Leland, let's just briefly start with these 9 candidates running for Speaker. Would you say there's a clear front runner, or is this anybody's race at this point?
I think it's anybody's race, and I think it may not be anybody who's on that list, Natasha. We've said now, going on 3 weeks, never underestimate Republicans' ability to screw things up. And they have yet to disappoint in terms of their ability to continue to make themselves and their dysfunction a story in Washington. And it's interesting, there are a number of cable news networks who are putting clocks up of how long it's been since there's been a Speaker of the House, just to highlight the dysfunction of Republicans. It's very difficult for them to be able to capitalize on any of the political opportunities they have right now when all they're doing is fighting amongst each other, never mind the fact that there's some very real issues that need to be dealt with. Everyone say, well, there can't be aid to Israel. There's lots of different ways to have aid, and you can have things done under the War Powers Act and the like. But certainly the lack of a Speaker in the House is giving President Biden and Democrats an enormous political win, enormous political gift to continue to bludgeon Republicans over this and say, we want to do all these things, and Republicans can't even elect a Speaker. So this continues again this week.
Let's talk about Israel, because we've been monitoring preparations for the ground assault into Gaza. Secretary Antony Blinken believes that many of the 10 Americans unaccounted for are being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. What is the pressure to try to negotiate for the release of more hostages before the ground assault begins?
Yeah, Natasha, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, right? Is that we knew that the United States would continue to pressure the Israelis to not invade and to hold off. And that's continuing to happen. We thought that the hostage release may coincide right around President Biden's trip to Israel. It did. And now we're seeing more pressure being put on the Israelis to hold off on their ground invasion. And we see the White House sort of using the fact that Hamas released 2 hostages as a way to continue to hold back the Israelis. How long they're willing to be held back for is yet to be seen. Obviously, we'll know when the ground invasion starts. But what I think is interesting here is the argument, right, which is need to hold off the ground invasion so that we can have more hostages released. Well, who does that benefit, the Israelis or Hamas? And the people right now who are benefiting the most from the delay is Hamas, because they're getting more aid flowing into Gaza. And they're getting more time to prepare their fortifications and more time to observe the Israelis, more time to ready the other Iranian proxies for a conflict. A huge part of war is about violence of action. And right now, the Israelis are losing any type of momentum they might have had by a shock and awe bombing campaign against Hamas.
And I did want to ask you as well, I mean, Rich McHugh had a great piece on this last night. Israel starting to receive some harsh criticism, even from its allies, some accusing the country of committing war crimes at this point. If Israeli attacks continue to cause civilian casualties, will Israel risk losing allies and supporters in this?
Look, Israel has always known that they're going to be on the losing side of a PR war, right? And everyone cares about the Palestinians when the Israelis are bombing Hamas. Nobody cares about the Palestinians the other, 364 days or 364 days of every year that there's not a conflict with Israel. And then nobody cares about the plight that Hamas is putting them through. This concept of war crimes is pretty interesting, because to say that someone is committing a war crime, it goes to intent, and it goes to if the other side is abiding by the same rules of war. We know the Israelis do not have intent to harm civilians, and we also know that Hamas does not abide by the rules of war. The double standard that Israel is being subjected to is really sort of undescribable, number one, but ununderstandable unless you put over a veil of anti-Semitism to it. So I think, yes, Israel knows that they're going to face these criticisms. I think what we're seeing is, number one, they don't care. And number two, they know that the world, as we saw with the hospital explosion, is going to jump to conclusions that are unfair no matter what. So they might as well do what they have to do to protect their people.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.